What I've been thinking about this week, both in sort of the spiritual, mental, emotional health arena, and also in my readings and study of scripture and of the mystics and theologians, is this idea that the way out is in. So to think a little more about that, thinking in terms of how, Jesus was talking about often, I am in the Father and the Father is in me. And sort of these, what seem to be somewhat cryptic understandings of who he is and what he's meant to do and what it means for who we're supposed to be. For more, read the Sermon on the Mount. And Richard Rohr, who you guys, if you've been watching, know I'm a big fan of, he talks about that essentially there's a deep truth within us, and that part of our journey of becoming is to get to listen to that truth, to become so convinced of our divine heritage that the systems of this world no longer hold sway with us. The oppressive systems are sort of the transactional capitalist kinds of systems, the grind culture kinds of systems that tell us we're only worth something if we're productive, or if we create value, that we have to be useful. And our divine heritage tells us a different story. And also this idea that, whoever you want to be has to start inside. We can't wait for the world to become what it's supposed to be, to become more peaceful, gentle, loving, tolerant, accepting people, all things that Scripture tells us to be. Sort of those fruits of the Spirit. We were studying those at First Pres. If you want to see those videos, they're on YouTube. First Pres Daytona, which is joy and peace and love, gentleness, self-control. All of these things start within the self. So if you're somebody who's maybe wanting more patience, you have to start to be patient with you. You want to be more gentle with you first. More loving, love yourself more first. So we cultivate these things inside. They become true and authentic in a way that is independent of the outside world. And that's a lot of the message from Jesus, from Scripture. Even the Old Testament talks a lot about, who the Jews, the Israelites, the Hebrews ought to be, despite what's happening in the world and the other gods that are in the world and the systems and rigor of the world. So maybe that's the practice today. Trusting the inner self, listening for the voice of truth within you, and begin to practice some of what you want to hone in who you're being in the world with yourself. Grace and peace, friends.